start with that. And guided reading is basically going through students and all like the reading process itself. So a typical guided reading lesson would be like rereading a familiar text, so something that a student is very familiar with, like storybooks that they read as a kid. Book introductions, starting conversations and connections, and connecting it to their personal life. See if they have any background information on a story that they're going to read in class, and making those connections to their home life and some of their personal stories. Then reading of a new text. So when you do read a new text, having the students take turns reading to the teacher individually, so they can develop their fluency and comprehension if they have any questions with vocabulary words. Then post-reading, having a conversation and applying the text and questions. So immediately after reading the book, a teacher should ask a bunch of questions about what they've just read and make those connections back to the story. Then some follow-up activities would be like some writing and just some going back to some personal stories that they might have had that are similar to the book. Also, it is very important for the teachers to utilize pictures and visuals in the book. This can create connections in the brain and help with their comprehension. So in the Florida case study, they talked about which kind of guided reading is best, and it would be silent reading or reading in a group. So reading in a group, splitting up into different reading levels. What Brianna kind of talked about, it's students sometimes can feel discouraged if they're in a lower reading group and maybe not feel as encouraged to read. So going back to this study, in this graph right over here, it talks about the median score for, I can't probably hear when I see that, but the control group was kind of reading aloud to the teacher and this program kind of consisted of what was called the Reading Acceleration Program, and it would help students develop techniques for comprehension and aerobics, or so they would also develop computer skills through this program, and it would they'd go through kind of like stories that they would have online. Then going to the silent reading group, it was also a computer-based program, and they would read the stories individually, and they would have questions that would follow up on the reading. And so after all of these, after all the reading, they would take a test, and the test would, they'd have immediate feedback from the test. So the students that had the silent reading tended to have better test scores, and compared to the students that had reading aloud. But so in conclusion, the students that had the silent reading scores tended to do better, but based on the study, they didn't have enough information to have a definite test score.